Okay, today's lesson has to do with slide 4 of module 0104, The Wandering Spider. So the reason why I wanted to do this slide specifically is because it talks about story elements of a story, and we have not gone into a lot of detail with this, so I wanted to kind of talk you through the information on slide 4 and how to do the graphic organizer and how we go ahead and read text and fill out information about characters and settings. So let me share my screen with you for slide 4. Okay, so this is slide 4. So this is going to be your assignment today. All right, so the title is Reading Corner Terrific Trophies. So you can read this top part on your own. What I really wanted you to look at is the story elements anchor chart, which is right here. Okay. So when we're thinking about story elements, we're thinking about characters. Who are they? What do they think, feel, say, and do? What is the setting? When and where does the story take place? Because many stories, and just like in this chapter, you'll see there are different settings that you're going to want to pay attention to. What's the plot? What happens at the beginning, middle, and end of the story? What is the problem and what is the solution? And just like settings, sometimes stories have more than one problem. And lastly, what is the theme? What do the characters learn? How do the characters grow and change throughout the story? And lastly, what does the author want you to learn as the reader? Okay, so we're going to be thinking about this as we read. I'm going to skip this part here. As we read chapter 4, which is The Wandering Spider. So the reason I want to do this with you, boys and girls, is because you do not have access to the underlining and the highlighting tool, because your job is going to be to circle the words that tell the place and time of the setting. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. You're going to put a box around the characters' names and any details that describe that character's words, thought, or actions. That's important. So I would like to go ahead and do that with you. In your, let me stop my sharing here. So in your packet, you have got this story already printed out for you. So here is chapter 4, The Wandering Spider. So what I did is I read it, and any time that I came across a clue or descriptive words about the setting, I circled it in purple. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you pictures of these, boys and girls, to go along with the lesson, because I know you can't really see that right now. But for instance, in purple, anytime I had a descriptive word about the setting, sound of machines, sound of logging, our base, a few days later, because setting is also time, laboratory. So I did that for the whole chapter. All right, and then in yellow, one of your jobs was to highlight or circle, whatever you choose, the characters, and then some words that would describe maybe their actions or their feelings. So for instance, I highlighted Victor and loggers because those are some of the characters. Dad. And then I did highlight some actions. Dad said he wanted to figure out a way to get along with the loggers. So that tells me a lot about Dad, that he's willing to problem solve. So like I said, go through. There's no right or wrong way to do this, boys and girls. I just wanted to model for you how I just went in and highlighted and circled information about characters and setting. And like I said, I will send this to you, okay? So one of your jobs is, after you've taken care of that, I'm going to go back to my slide 4. So you're more than welcome to read this online as well, because it does have some of those speech bubbles in there that you can answer the questions. So whatever you're more comfortable with, but when it comes to highlighting, you're not able to do that on the iPad, so that's why I did it in print. So whichever way you choose, I would recommend the paper copy because you can go ahead and highlight. So what it wants you to do, your job, is to fill out the story elements graphic organizer. All right, so if I click on that, this is in your packet. So it looks, give it 1 second here. It's still thinking. And it should be coming up here shortly. Okay, so this is what it looks like. That's in your packet, and I'm going to go ahead on my dry erase board, show you how I would take the information from the story and kind of put it in this graphic organizer. So my chart on my board, all right, looks just like yours. You are not doing the second page right now. We're just going to do characters, and setting. Okay, so I'm going to have my story with me of the things that I highlighted and circled. So I'm going to go back and I need to just list the characters. So boys and girls, I'm doing this with you. So on your graphic organizer, you're going to want to kind of follow along with me, stop my video, record, and start it back up again. So when I think back and I look back, I see Victor is one of my characters. Sorry, boys and girls, I need to shut the window. The train is going by. All right, sorry about that. We've got Victor, we've got loggers. And sometimes when I make a list, I just put a bullet point like that. I've got Dad. And who's telling the story? Liam's telling the story, so I'm going to put Liam. And then if I look at, I think it's about halfway down, there's a man that comes in that's injured. He doesn't have a name, so I'm just going to put man. And then if I go further, I'm looking for my yellow that's highlighted. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. So if you want to stop the video and record those on your sheet, that's fine. Then I've got description of characters. So when I think about that, there's not a lot of space here, but when I think about how I might describe these characters. So when we think about Victor, I know because Victor said, or actually let's go with Dad. So it's kind of hard to take all these characters and write descriptions of all these characters, right? So I guess I'm just going to pick a couple of them. So if I picked Dad, I know that Dad, according to what he said, we need to figure a way out to get along. So I know that Dad, he is a problem solver. I know he's a problem solver because he's taking the time to work through those problems. Okay. I would say when I think about what happened at the end of the story, when it says that Victor, I'm going to do Dad and Victor because Victor was very helpful because he helped the injured man. He was also very knowledgeable because if I look back to my text, he injected the man with life-saving anti-venom. So he knew what to do, right? He was very knowledgeable. Now, if you want to add more to this or pick a different character, I'm totally fine with that. But I just wanted to show you how we take the characters and we can kind of dig a little bit deeper into describing them. All right, so when I think about setting, those were my things that were circled in purple. So when I think about where it took place, I know that they're at their base. That means kind of their home base. So I'm going to put base. I know where it says laboratory. I know the laboratory was at the end, kind of the end of the chapter. But at the beginning, the whole beginning part is talking about the logging that's going on, right, outside the base. So I'm just going to put logging. All right, there's not an actual name for that, but that is part of the setting. So they're at the base, they're in the laboratory, they're listening to the men doing the logging and all the machines. Now the setting, it doesn't give you an exact date, it doesn't give you the day and the month. So as far as time goes, when you're reading this, I know that these things are happening during the day. All right, so if I look, so I'm just going to put daytime because it doesn't actually give me an exact time on there. Description of settings. So that's where when I circled sound of machines, sound of logging. So it could be loud. Okay. The description, thinking about their base, it was crowded because it was all those loggers that were there. Thinking about the man that was coming in, his arm was wrapped in a bandage. So they're moving into the laboratory. So maybe for description of setting, the laboratory, and it says that he was looking in the cupboard that contained a lot of equipment. So maybe we could put full of supplies. So like I said, there's really no wrong way to do this, friends. It's kind of what you're taking out of it as a reader. So that's why I wanted to help you a little bit. For you to be able to do this on your own can be kind of tricky. All right. So I just want to make it clear that on slide 4, you are required to read the story and that you're to do a little bit of highlighting and circling or underlining. And then you are going to be filling this out, just this first part. Excuse me, just this first part. Okay, and like I said, you can stop the video and go ahead and do your recording, add whatever you want on there, and then take a pic and send it to me through Buzz. All right, so that's for slide 4 on Wednesday.